Hello friends, Jai Hind. In this session of Find Your Luck series, we are going to talk to Major General Umashankar Dadu, a veteran sapper and from the Corps of Engineers. Major General Umashankar Dadu has had a brilliant academic record. He graduated from the National Defence Academy in 1979 and went on to graduate as B.Tech from the College of Military Engineering as a gold medalist. Thereafter pursued his M.Tech from IIT Delhi and Master of Defence Studies from Defence Services Staff College, as well as Master of Management Studies from Osmania University. He's had a rich professional experience during his army life. He's been an instructor, Dean and Deputy Commandant of the College of Military Engineering, Pune. He's been a commanding officer of the Engineering Regiment and held important staff appointments. He's also been International UN Military Observer in Liberia and has overseen projects for the Border Road Organization in Bhutan and Jammu and Kashmir. He's had multiple national civil engineering projects which have been completed under his guidance, and he served as Additional Director General, Officer on Special Duty East in the Ministry of Defence. He's overseen road works of BRO in complete Northeast India and has been an Additional Director General Technical Examination with the Ministry of Defence. He's also done his bit of adventure activities at the High Altitude Warfare School, Gulmarg, and led a wonderful life in the Army. So with this, let us welcome Major General Umashankar Dadu. So welcome, sir, on this show. We would like to have your views on the branch, which we call it as Corps of Engineers, because there are a lot of aspirants who want to join technical branches in the Army, and especially the Corps of Engineers. So it will be very useful for them if you could share your personal experiences and knowledge about the Corps of Engineers. So with that, let me welcome you to this show.
Thank you, Rajesh. It's really my pleasure to talk to you and to the aspirants who want to join the Indian Army and the Corps of Engineers in particular. Having spent 37 years with the Corps, I've had one of the most fulfilling assignments and such varied assignments, the opportunity like which could not have been provided by any other corps. I shall explain it during the course of our further conversation.
Yes. So let us begin by, what has been your motivation to join the service? I mean, the Army as such. So because everyone has his own unique story, all of us have this thing. And so what has been your motivation?
Well, I think I was destined for the Army. When I was very young itself, one joined schools which there was a lot of fervor outside, and one joined school which gave importance, especially Saraswati Shishu Mandir, which gave a lot of importance to military aspects, things like drill and parades and things like that. So I suppose I was always very fascinated. And probably my parents saw that inclination in me. And at a very young age of 12 years, we joined the Sainik School, Lucknow, and you are aware we were in the same class.
Yes.
And after that, I think having worn the uniform at the age of 12, there was no looking back. And then one followed the most standard path for joining the Indian Army, that is through the National Defence Academy, Indian Military Academy, and then commission. Well, I think we were born for it. At least I was born for it.
Yeah, so I think that is the story. Like I said, most of us who have been through Sainik schools and all, obviously that's the what you call default path, that we take.
Yes,
or natural
absolutely.
path, rather than saying default. It will be a natural path that we take. And yeah, so once you've gone into the NDA, and I remember we were together in NDA as well, different squadrons though. So you had opted for the technical stream, and so how do you get into the Corps of Engineers, from NDA?
In my case particularly, one really gave a thought to which arm or service one wants to join only once he landed up in the Indian Military Academy. Before that, one had, like most of the people are unaware about the structures of the Indian Army and the three services in particular. I was also not really aware and one only wanted to become a soldier.
Mhm.
But once we joined IMA, and the thing about joining a arm or service came near, that is really the time I started doing my research and trying to find out what would suit me better. So, but I don't want other people and your students to go through that, and they should be aware in the very beginning. Now, one of the prerequisites for joining the Corps of Engineers is that you should be a science graduate. Because from NDA, both arts as well as science graduates pass out. So I was lucky to have joined the BSc course in NDA, and I was a science graduate. So the Corps of Engineers was open to me. How I joined the Corps of Engineers was that since I came from a totally non-military background, my family background was totally non-military. During the term break, I went to a friend's house whose father was a very senior officer of the Indian Army at that time. And the moment I told him that I need some explanation as to what armed service I should join, at the very first thing he says, "What do you want to do? You want to be tell me first, you want to be a soldier or you want to do service?" So I said, "No, of course, we have joined the NDA and IMA for being a soldier." So he said, "You want to do proper soldiering, then you should join an arm." And then he asked me, "Are you a science graduate?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Then just don't look beyond the Corps of Engineers, because it offers you the very best in every field." Let me explain it. The Indian Army basically consists of two parts. One are the arms, and the other is the services. Arms are the combat arms. These are the arms which go actually into combat. And all others are services. The arms are infantry, artillery, the armored corps, the Corps of Engineers, and the signals. And all others are services which provide service and help to these fighting arms to fight. And services are like the electrical and mechanical engineers, the Army Service Corps, the Army Ordnance Corps, and such like
Yes.
branches. So the Corps of Engineers offers you the combat as also engineering. And the aim of the Corps, in fact, the role of the Corps of Engineers is to apply engineering knowledge for the furtherance of the commander's plan. Corps of Engineers are the people who are first in battle and the last to come out from the battle area. So if you want to be a soldier and also you have a technical bent of mind, then there is no better arm to join than the Corps of Engineers.
So, having said that, see today, a new entry has opened up for the technical arms as far as the army is concerned. I mean, even for the navy, where after 12th you can get into the technical arms. That is the TES entry that I'm talking about. So, what is your take on this particular entry?
So, like I said, to join the Corps of Engineers, you can join the Corps by being commissioned through either NDA or IMA or OTA, or the new entry has started, which is called the TES, Technical Entry Scheme. The first basic thing is that you should be a science graduate. But also there is a scheme for students who are doing engineering. So those who are in engineering colleges and are about to complete the engineering can also apply for a course called the Technical Graduates Course, TGC. And if they qualify for that, they go to IMA for training, and then they're commissioned into the various engineering arms oblique services. So a TGC engineering graduate, if he's a civil, electrical, or mechanical student, then he can opt once in IMA for the Corps of Engineers. Okay, the other entry schemes. What happens is that science graduates who come through either NDA or direct IMA entry or through the OTA, they are made to go through an engineering course after they are commissioned into the Corps of Engineers as part of their service. So anybody who's in the Corps has to have a BTech degree. So either you acquire it prior to joining the Corps, or they make you acquire it after you are in the Corps. But it's a mandatory requirement. So after you join, also you have to clear that 4-year degree course to be eligible to continue to serve in the Corps. So if you are poor at academics, even if you are a science graduate, then I'll advise, and you don't have a bent of mind for studying, then probably you may not survive in the Corps of Engineers. Now, talking about the technical entry scheme, that is the TES. Now, since a very long time was spent, all 3 or 4 years of service was being spent on cadets who were coming through NDA and direct entry from IMA in doing engineering degree, the government has started cadets training wing, CTWs, which taken students directly after 12th class, that is your intermediate, and put them through 4 years of training. 3 years in CTW and 1 year in one of the academies. And during these 4 years, they also teach them engineering.
Okay.
They make them go through a BTech course. Now, for people who want to join the Corps of Engineers, the CTW is in Pune under the College of Military Engineering. So, any engineering graduate, any 12th class student who wants to join the TES and wants to join engineers should opt for CTW Pune.
Okay.
The other CTWs, one is in Secunderabad for the electrical and mechanical engineers, and one is in Mau, MP for the Corps of Signals. The TS entry scheme started about 15, 20 years back. And I must tell you that these boys are doing exceedingly well. In fact, they are on par with cadets coming through NDA. And they are doing exceedingly well in the Corps.
That is, in fact, this particular entry has seen a lot of interest among the aspirants. I do keep guiding these young aspirants, and there is so much of interest in this particular entry, TES entry, though the vacancies are just about 90 odd. But then, the applicants are quite high, and now they have made, appearing in JEE as, mandatory for this, as well as I think the Navy has also started their BTech entry, where also they have this. Now, when we are talking about graduate entries, what do you think are the challenges, when they, particularly those candidates who directly come in after graduation at the IMA or OTA? So what are there any specific challenges these people face during training vis-a-vis, say, NDA or TES kind of?
See, as far as NDA and TES is concerned, since you join fairly young, you are moldable, and the training period spreads over 4 years. So you are able to take, the training is more progressive. And in that, I will only focus upon 2 things. One is the physical training, which can be quite rigorous. And but then if it is gradually done, and then when you come to NDA or TS, you are able to cope with it. But when a technical graduate joins the IMA, and he is to be commissioned only after 1 year of service, and the training period is 1 year of training, and the training is only for 1 year, this complete orientation, remodeling, and the physical thing has to be compressed in 1 year. So that acts like a shock to people who are not mentally very agile, and some of the people are not able to take it. But the failure rate is very low. It's only a few people who are not able to adjust and not able to take the shock who go out. But once having finished the training, and once they come into the regiments on all, they are really on par. So in the later years of service, while you are serving, you cannot say that they are any less. Then other thing comes in is that as you advance in service, from the combat side, your engineering knowledge and your flair for engineering subjects like civil construction, project management, building of road, or any civil engineering or any engineering project, that starts to play important role. So if you are an engineer, a technical graduate from outside, and you have always had a bent of mind towards studies and being an engineer, then you can also flourish. It's
No,
really
I
just that
uh,
1 year of training, which you have to be a little mentally strong.
yeah. No, the why I'm making this, seeking this clarification is because see, these days the candidates or the aspirants, they're more into books or other things, virtual life rather than physical activities. The physical activities have reduced. So the main aim is to make them aware that they need to be physically fit when they are reaching IMA or OTA. So that they can cope up easily and focus on the main academic subjects and all. So I think
Yeah,
that is
physical fitness is very important,
abs-
and the same physical standards apply to people who are joining the core as to
yes,
anybody else. And same physical standards apply irrespective of your entry, whether you are
absolutely,
joining through TES or a technical graduate course or a IMA DE course. The same physical standards apply across the board. So people who are coming directly after doing their graduation in engineering and joining the army through OTA or IMA, engineering graduates, they will probably have to acquire the same physical standards in that short time of 1 year. So what you are saying that these students should be well prepared.
absolutely,
They should be mentally up to it and maybe start well in advance to get their physical fitness in order.
absolutely. So that they don't struggle,
So
just
yeah, so that you
passing
don't
the
struggle.
physical test, your runs and swimming and drill and what have you.
Yeah.
So basically, that is just to caution these aspirants so that
Yeah,
they need to be
there are no, what do you call, there are no difference in standards, physical standards
yes.
for anybody.
So expectation is same from everybody. When you pass
Yeah, the
those
expectation is
tests,
at
yes,
the end of it, you have to pass those basic physical tests, and you have to come up to the basic physical standards to be commissioned.
right. So having passed out, let us say you passed out in the Corps of Engineers, and if you are, let's say, already an engineer, then what is the career progression? What kind of training as an engineer or value addition is there in the life of a engineer in the army?
Okay, so I'll go about it systematically in the sense that um, once you're commissioned into the Corps of Engineers, you are sent to the College of Military Engineering for a basic young officers course. It's a 6 months course which everybody mandatorily has to attend and pass. And in the 6 months course, they teach you all about combat engineering.
Okay.
That is how, as an engineer, you're supposed to support and fight alongside the infantry in the armor and do your part of work in the battlefield. So it's a combat engineering course, 6 months, which everybody has to do. Now, before I progress further, I will tell you that the Corps of Engineers has got four major components.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest component, of course, is the combat engineers. They are the mainstay. And everybody who joins the Corps of Engineers first joins an engineer regiment and is part of the combat engineers. Now, once you spend 4 5 years doing your combat engineering, then the Corps has other responsibilities. And people then diversify into fulfilling these other responsibilities. And these responsibilities are: one is the military engineering service, which is responsible for construction and maintenance support. In fact, infrastructure, construction, and maintenance support not only to the Indian Army but to the all the three defense services. So they are engaged in both construction and maintenance of cantonments, building various facilities, airfields, airports,
Yes.
docks, harbors, habitat, the complete what you call civil engineering, construction of infrastructure. And of
Something
course,
akin
it's
to
subsequent
something
maintenance.
akin to PWD, you can say.
Yeah, it is something akin to what PWD does for the central government, and the
Absolutely.
MES does it for the defense services.
Right.
Then the second arm of the Corps of Engineers is the Border Roads Organization. Now, Border Roads Organization is also to be manned by the officers of the Corps of Engineers. Now, at the same time, both MES and Border Roads also have a civilian component,
Mm-hmm.
but almost 50% of it is has to be mandatorily manned by the officers in uniform.
Okay.
So the second place where you can go is the Border Roads Organization, which is responsible for construction and maintenance of all roads in the border areas. And this is also one must have heard of it, but this is also a it is a premier road construction agency in the country. As far as the MES is concerned, it used to be the largest, but still is one of the largest construction agencies in the country.
Okay.
And of course, a minuscule percentage also joins what is called the military survey.
Okay.
And military survey is responsible for GIS, that is the geographical information systems, and making of maps and survey of border areas. So once you have joined the Corps of Engineers, you serve in the combat engineers after doing your 6 months VIOS course. And if you're not an engineering graduate from already, then you are made to go through a 3 years degree course.
Okay.
At College of Military Engineering. And once you qualify on that, then you are sent to the MES or the BRO or the military survey, and you serve in, and of course, combat remains the mainstream. You go for a tenure to MES, you serve in the, or to the BRO and come back to the combat side. And that is how you do it. So you get to serve in combat, in doing engineering tasks and making roads, and also doing military survey.